Now, for sure, if you watch the news, you have seen our first guest. He's been all over the news this week, and he's been visiting our friends over at Fox quite often. He's written an amazing book. Hopefully you can see it, called Man Up. Absolutely love this. You got to love any book that says it's called Man Up, and it says how to cut the beep and kick ass. I can say ass, right? Ass is legal. I mean, I can say whatever I want. It's social media. I don't know why I didn't say bullshit, but I did. Oh, I did. It says how you can cut the bullshit and kick ass in business and in life. So I'd like to welcome our first amazing guest to get to the point, Bedros Keuilian. Bedros, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you letting me have some opportunity here. Thank you.
You are inspiring, my friend. Hearing you on TV, sticking up for the little guy. I don't know if it's because you're barrel-chested, and it just makes me feel like I want you to stand next to me and fight for small businesses with me. Basically, I could be like the donkey, and you could be Shrek, and I could just bounce behind you and say things. If that works for you, we could do that. I'll volunteer. I'll be the donkey.
Well, you know, as I look at you here, Eric, if you've ever seen the movie Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold, I would say that you would be Arnold and I would be Danny DeVito in our relationship.
I don't think so. You look like you lift way more than I do. I ride a Peloton. That's about and I do push-ups every day. I do the Marine Corps Daily 7. I am that guy still in his 40s who's like, I know how to do this. I can't go lift. We actually, funny story, Bedros, you'll love this. We ordered a weight set to come to our house because we own businesses. We can't always leave to go to a gym. So having everything readily to do, and I don't believe in excuses of can't drive to the gym. Even when we had a gym membership, we wanted this, but we ordered it. And of course, coronavirus hit and they sent us this message. We can't deliver it till June. I'm like, it's April. It's a long time. So back to the push-ups and body weight stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's good, but let's get to the point here when it comes to what you've been talking about. You are a big advocate for small businesses. Obviously, Fit Body Bootcamp is a franchise owned, so you have a bunch of owners that are part of your business. And tell the folks a little bit about what you did right as coronavirus hit, because I think this is amazing how quick you made a pivot.
Absolutely, and look, I should tell you this, that you know, when you look at any franchise business owner, they are a small business. Collectively they look like a big business, but you know, when you look at, for example, a Fit Body Bootcamp where we have individually owned locations, 700 of them across the world, or let's say a fast food sandwich shop like Jersey Mike's that might have, you know, it looks like a big brand, but they're actually individually owned and operated. Those are small businesses, and those people have payroll, they have expenses, etc. And so what we did, since obviously many of our clients work out in our facilities, in our gyms are about 3,000 square feet. They're classes, what we call them sessions, and they're run by a coach, and we call it the 4-station rotation. In 30 minutes, you go through 4 stations. It's, you know, run by a coach who kind of modifies the exercises depending on where your aches and pains are and the results that you want. And a group of 20 clients work out at a time and move on, and then the next group comes in after that. Well, once the coronavirus was announced and the lockdown was announced, the quarantine, within 48 hours on March 17th, we gave the order to our Fit Body Bootcamp owners. We said, guys, you guys have a social obligation. We have a social obligation to make sure our clients and our communities are safe. We don't know what this virus is all about. We're hearing that it's very dangerous. We are in an environment where clients are touching different equipment. So we're going to shut down, and in 48 hours, we're going to launch our at-home workouts. And so within 48 hours, we filmed 30 follow-along workouts that our clients could do in Facebook private groups. So every location, we had them launch a private Facebook group where they did the follow-along workouts, checked in on their clients on a daily basis several times, and we used basically platforms like Zoom, Facebook, and good old texting and calling to stay in contact with our clients, because we knew our clients still wanted to get the results. And if they got the results that they were after, they would continue to pay for those results, which means that our business owners could keep their coaches, their front desk staff, their facility leaders pay on payroll, which is what we're after. And so that's what we did. But obviously you can only do that for so long before you realize we've got to go back to business.
I love this. I think this is great. And I'm so glad you were able to transition so quickly, especially with everything going on. And I'm a big fitness person. I love working out, and I, easily transitioned to a lot of at-home workouts. There were a bunch of, classes that I was able to take. I know Eric is obsessed with his Peloton. But has there been any challenges with switching your business over to everything online? Like how were your clients, and was that an easy transition for them as well?
No, it certainly wasn't easy on any level, to be honest with you, because as you can imagine, and I'm one of those people, some of us are technophobes, and it takes a little time to go from learning how to coach people inside of your gym to coaching them online and setting up Zoom and doing a live workout and then moving that live workout onto Vimeo and then putting the link to Vimeo on the Facebook group and then doing 2 or 3 live sessions like this in Facebook, because our coaches and our owners are used to engaging with their clients in person. So we had about 25-30% of our owners kind of freaking out, rightfully so, and we walked them through it. That's what a franchise does. We have a support structure that walks them through it and helps them out. And then, of course, we had about 20% of our clients say, look, this isn't for me. I don't want to work out from home. I think I'm going to wait out the 2 weeks that they say, because remember, in the beginning, the whole country was under the impression that by mid-April, right around Easter, we're going to go back to business. And so we had about 20% of our clients across the board put their memberships on a freeze, thinking in 2 weeks we'll go back. Well, very quickly, some of those people realized, hey, this is going to go longer than we thought. And so some of them re-signed back up, others of them didn't, but there was certainly a financial loss. Now, we made up for that by launching a 28-day Stronger Together at-home challenge, where we sold it online to people in the communities who had never worked out with us. But let me tell you, it's hard to sell something when people are afraid of losing their jobs and really want things to go back to normal so they can go back into a gym and work out there.
So, Bedros, let me ask you this. One of the things that I know that you've been real big on is standing up for small businesses that are out there. So do you have a message for any of these big gyms and other big businesses that kind of haven't acted on their best behavior and acted very businesslike and played fair in the pool over these last 8 weeks?
No, absolutely not, man. And I'm glad you brought that up, Eric, because when you look at places like Shake Shack and Penske and Harvard and Ruth's Chris, come on, these are giant chains. They're not franchises. Let me explain in case someone watching this doesn't know the difference. Starbucks, for example, is a chain, meaning all Starbucks locations are owned by one corporation. Whereas McDonald's, most McDonald's, they're franchise. Person might own 1 or 2 locations. The next guy might own 1 or 2. And Fit Body Bootcamp is a franchise. It's owned by individuals collectively making up one unified brand. And so when you see Penske, Harvard, Ruth's Chris, Shake Shack getting in line and bumping the little business owner who doesn't have the big accounting team, who doesn't have the ability to take time and go online and fill out the forms. Because look, we had to fill out our forms 3 times only to get funded the second time around because we missed a window here at corporate office. And I've got 3 accountants working behind me in the accounting department. I could only imagine a small business owner trying to run their business and figure out how to go online and figure out how to fill out these forms when these big businesses are just cutting in front of them and taking the money that wasn't really allocated for them. It simply wasn't, period. And it's just a shame for that to happen. And so I decided I'm going to stand up for small business owners, not just small gyms, because look, there's also a difference between a big box gym where people walk around, a 30,000 square foot gym that you walk in and you do bench press, dumbbell flies, cable machine, whatever. You're touching everything. Now I've decided that we're going to actually pivot with Fit Body Bootcamp. I told all Fit Body owners that we are going to open up on June 1st. Some states, 7 states have already opened up, given the green light. So we've opened up as much early as 2 weeks ago. But I said on June 1st, guys, we're opening up. We're using our Fit Body reopening protocol, which is to sanitize hands and shoes before they come in. Our clients are now working out in an 8x8 taped off area, and there's 12 of them, 10, 12, 15, depending on the size of the Fit Body Bootcamp. But we call it the train in place model, where earlier I told you our clients rotate throughout a 30-minute session. Now they will train in place in their 8x8 taped off area with the 2 pieces of equipment that's right there in front of them. So there's no cross contamination. There's no high-fiving. There's none of that. Our coaches and instructors have masks on because there are going to be yelling and coaching and obviously pumping people up. There's literally almost no chance of anyone spreading a virus in an environment like that. And I've gone so far as to send that 25-page reopening protocol to the White House, to the Center for Disease Control COVID-19 Task Force, to the World Health Organization, and to Governor Newsom's office, just like, hey, here's what we're doing. We're going above and beyond. You must differentiate us from big box gyms. And oh, by the way, these are small business owners who now I feel at this point our constitutional rights are being infringed upon. And keep in mind, Eric, I come from a communist country. My dad risked his life to bring us here when I was 6 years old, when we escaped the Soviet Union. I'm seeing communist behavior, and I'm willing to put my name, my business, myself on the line at this point.
I love that you bring that up, because you are, to me, what is a perfect American dream, if you think of it. You came over from a communist country to our country, the home of the free, land of the brave. I'm proud to have served it, as is producer Chris. And to hear someone who came to our country, has been successful, earned his keep here in our country, and to see that your businesses are being treated the way they are by Governor Newsom, and in fact, by our entire government when this started, taking away our freedoms that were guaranteed, that sit in the National Archives, that we can't touch with our hands or even breathe near. And it's been taken away. I reported at the beginning of the show, Joe Rogan has now said that he's planning on leaving the state. He's done. And that's just because he wants to be able to film his podcast and work out with his friends. I mean, you describing your workout, I'm going, well, for me, I thrive on those high fives. I mean, I love a good CrossFit gym. I'm not going to lie. It's fun to have those high fives get you through a workout. When your butt is just floored at a group workout, it's good to have those folks on your left and to your right helping you up, and the coaches too. So I'm sure your teams are going to have a struggle with the, like, what are we going to do? The Jim and Pam virtual high five like we're in the office? I mean, it's absurd to do that. And I don't think they've thought it through. But let's deep dive into California, because Governor Newsom just extended you guys. For no reason extended you guys. You guys don't have a high death count. You're not even looking anything like New York, nor have you ever. But yet he keeps extending and extending it. And I don't know at what point it becomes a political thing, because I know it's in an election year. But I mean, this is killing small businesses. Now, let me ask you, did you hear a response from the governor?
I did not hear a response from the governor. And just yesterday, I don't know if you guys saw this, but the mayor of LA said that he is open to the idea of cutting off utilities for small businesses who decide to go back to business before they give the green light. Now, listen, man, you can't cut gas, water, and power to a small business that wants to go serve its people constitutionally, number one. Number two, in a way that's socially safe, because they've taken every precaution, just like we are at Fit Body Bootcamp. And number three, Eric, let me bring something up for a second. I don't know if I think you said you're a parent, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
All right. So you know, I've got a son and a daughter, but let's say I had 6 kids, and let's say me and my wife went out to the park, and my 6 kids are playing, and Andrew is my oldest. I might say, hey kids, have a good time, but Andrew's in charge, so listen to your big brother. And there you go. The 6 kids are doing that because it's a safe environment. It's a park. I can kind of see them from afar. They're good. That is good parenting on my part. Now, if I all of a sudden hear someone clacking off a gun in the park, and I hear what sounds like a gun, and I don't see the gunman, I'm now going to take control away from Andrew, my son, and I'm going to say, kids, come over here, honey, get up, we're leaving. I'm going to take leadership when there's a real risk, a real problem. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I'm a free market capitalist that believes in our constitutional way, so much so that I was excited to come to the United States, learn the language, understand the culture, and serve the people. And what I'm seeing is, if this was a real problem, why would our president then delegate it to the governors, to 50 governors who can run the problem 50 different ways? Why would we be allowed to go into grocery stores? Hey, wear a mask, but don't touch. You can touch the apple, you can touch the soda can, put it back, totally fine. Are we spreading things? So maybe it's not that big a risk after all. Because if it really was, then shouldn't we be more worried and taking bigger precautions? And since we're not, why don't we sensibly go back to work, and the people who are immune compromised and the elderly shelter in place, let the rest of us go contribute to the economy, because we also know this fact, that for every 1% increase in unemployment, there's 29,000 deaths over a 6 to 8 month period. Majority of those deaths from heart attacks, The second source is suicide. The third being murder. How does that compare against COVID virus death?
Exactly. Oh my God. By the way, just so you know, you had everybody on the team in the control room. You couldn't see it, but we all had our arms up. We were feeling you when you said, "I'm not left, I'm not right. I'm just here to like provide for businesses." That is like the greatest thing. I wish that you were born here so I could say, "Dude, you need to run for president," because you have my vote. We need more folks like you. We need more voices. You obviously are an influencer in the business world. You have an amazing book that I personally think that you need to send to the White House. You should actually send your requirements and send these to all of them. Like, this should all go to DC and they all should get this book. Gavin Newsom should own it. Man up, because they're not doing that. And man up could be for man, woman. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It is a mindset. It's like the Marine mindset. Adapt and overcome. We're sitting on our butt in small business owners. And for you, I mean, I did read that story yesterday about shutting off the power, and it was like, where do I live again? Because I'm pretty for sure I see an American flag where I go, and I know a lot about our history. And this is a very weird time that we live in. And for so many people to be fleeing California already, I think they're going to have even more people leave, because this is horrible for small business owners. So what do you suggest what can we do? What can a small business owner do right now to stay the course and keep their head above water? Because it is a bad time for a lot of them, because even opening right now with all these regulations, they have another problem. Their employees, technically, especially in restaurants, make more in unemployment than they do going to work. And they're like, I could just sit here on this for months until it's safe to go back to work. Why would I even worry about it? I'm making, some people make like $600 a week. Not that that's a lot of money, but if you're single in your 20s, don't have a lot of responsibilities, not knocking any millennials, but just, if you happen to be there and you could do that, no kids, why would you go back to work? So, what do you say to that?
Well, that's an absolutely great point. And that's also part of the problem. I mean, look, we're applying for PPP and all these small businesses are applying for all this financial health, but any small business owner, any business owner, big or small right now, would agree with me. I don't go into business to break even, to just stay afloat. I go into business to make a profit. And what you don't see is right behind the camera here, there's a bookshelf, and I could see 5 different plaques and trophies that I got from Shriners Children's Hospital for the 7 figures that we have donated to Shriners Children's Hospital over the years. As a child coming to the United States, I went through a lot of problems, and so I'm very child conscious. So I make profits, 1, to take care of my family and give them a good quality of life, and 2, to donate to Shriners Children's Hospital and to have 91 kids adopted through Compassion International. I make profits so that I could do things that give me a sense of significance. And when they're saying, look, we're going to give you enough money to pay your payroll and maybe pay your rent for your building, I'm not looking to stay afloat. If I was, I would just go get a job somewhere. I'm looking to make a profit and contribute to the world's economy. And if they think that they could just cut us a check to just enough to keep us afloat, and I should be happy with that, I'm not. And the reality is that you're right. When you incentivize people, employees, to effectively go on unemployment, and their unemployment matches what their payroll was anyway, and now it's been extended, this is why the country gets divided. They're saying, hey, look, I'm not saying they're saying it for the money, but maybe I would be if I was getting the same amount of money as I was getting when I was working, and now the time period is extended where I can get it longer. I might say, hey, you know what? You're a small business owner. All business, stay shut, keep us safe, because I'll just keep playing my video games, making almost the same amount of money. What about the rest of us who actually need to make money and be profitable? And we're willing to do it in a safe way. And we've got a 25-page process outlined. Let us go back to business. And if we spike the doggone virus, hey, we'll go right back to quarantine. And if we don't, then maybe this wasn't the big deal that everyone made it out to be.
Absolutely. I so respect you. Like, I love your whole story, and I think everything that you're doing is absolutely amazing. I want to know more about your book, Man Up. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And
Sure. My book, Man Up, is actually written because I was a very poor and ineffective leader when I launched Fit Body Bootcamp, our franchise. I launched it In the last economic depression, 2008, when the economy crashed, I realized, I've got to launch this boot camp, Fit Body Boot Camp, our business, because one-on-one personal training was too expensive for people. And by 2010, I had launched it. By 2012, we became a franchise. By 2013, I was having anxiety attacks so big that it felt like a heart attack. I was in an argument with my wife. I had refinanced my house so many times because the brand just wouldn't take off. I hated my employees. I hated my business partner. I hated my franchisees, to be very honest with you. And one day I realized, if I'm hating all these people, maybe they're not the problem. Maybe I am. And I took a close look at myself, and I realized I'm not having the conversations that I should. I'm not being decisive. I'm not leading from the front. I'm being an imposter of a leader. I'm being passive aggressive. And so I decided to fully commit for the next few years, as long as it took. And over the next 2 years, from 2013 to 2015, I probably spent more time with a therapist on working on my personal, like, just self-discipline. And listen, if you want the truth, I was molested as a little kid growing up in Armenia, and I had a lot of rage and anger and communication problems. And I openly share this anyway from the stage when I speak, etc. But all those things, as humans, we go through trauma and we're scarred, and we don't communicate well, we're indecisive, we're passive aggressive, and all those things do not make for a great leader in business. And so I decided to focus on my leadership, build my leadership muscles, get over the trauma that I had experienced as a kid, and really self-develop and learn to communicate, become decisive, be emotionally resilient and not freak out, and of course, turn my employees into a high-performing team. And in my book, I identify employees as people who clock in a little late, clock out a little early, and do the bare minimum to maintain employment. A team is someone who understands the mission and the core values of that business and plays as a unified front to win. And so I always tell people, with that definition, would you want employees or team members? And so with that said, I spent the next 2 years developing my leadership muscles, if you will. And it's no coincidence that 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, we hit the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing franchises. We hit the Entrepreneur Magazine's 500 fastest growing franchises. And great example of leadership being the problem, leadership being the solution. And so the reason I titled it Man Up is every time I was afraid to have a conversation with someone and I would start feeling anxiety, in my head I would say, Bedros, man up and have that conversation. Man up and do that thing that you need to do and stop hiding from it. And so man up is really just human up to your highest level of potential. And whether you're man or woman, there's a higher level of potential and purpose that you have. You feel that gnawing in your gut. And when you do nothing about it, you feel anxious, you feel stressed, you feel overwhelmed, you begin to suffer in silence. And that's what I was doing. And I wrote Man Up to give people the 6 pillars of entrepreneurial leadership so they don't have to experience what I did.
I love that. I think that's incredible. I think you have the right mindset completely. And I completely agree with you on the employees versus team members. Like, that's brilliant. But I think we have to wrap it up. So thank you so much for coming on to The Point.
Thank you. Appreciate
You've been
it.
incredible. I really appreciate your story.
Thank you.
Let's get to the point with Eric Mitchell. Let's get to the point with Eric Mitchell. We gon' talk about sports and the politics. You gon' hear what you've been needing in this.